We are back on Pandora, and we are exploring the forest and the oceans in multiple frame rates. Yikes. Avatar, The Way of Water. So now is a great time to hang out with us and subscribe if you have not already, because the big end of the year movies are all coming out now. Avatar, The Way of Water, and Empire of Light, and Babylon, and name a big movie that you're pumped about. They're all coming here at the end of the year. So if you've not subscribed yet, we are inching ever closer to our goal of 20,000 subscribers. And we're trying to build a lovely community of folks here. We had a great live chat with Alonso yesterday about Christmas movies. It was so much fun to talk to you guys. So we'll put a link to that. But yeah, come hang out with us. Alonso, take us back to Pandora.
Treat them as our brothers and sisters. Teach them our ways.
When last we visited Pandora, the Na'vi had succeeded, with the help of white savior Jake Sully, in kicking all the humans off the planet. But nothing gold can stay. They come roaring back, and this time they really mean warlike business. And so now the humans have retrenched their interests in Pandora, and the Na'vi are sort of fighting back guerrilla style. But the humans have a new trick up their sleeve, which is a whole crew of Marines who have been avatared into Na'vi bodies, including the clone, basically, of Stephen Lang's character, who died in the last movie. But wouldn't you know it, you can't keep a good Marine down. Ultimately, Jake and his family, he now has 4 children with his wife, Natiri, realize they are the target of these new commandos, and they got to run. So they wind up resettling with the Reef people, a whole other set of Na'vi who live on the water and are much more capable of swimming great distances and holding their breath. But of course, you know, the imperialists are coming. Yeah, this movie's about Vietnam and whales, basically.
Not just any whales, talking whales.
Talking whales. Did you chuckle when the whale has that big emotional line? Because I did.
I chuckled a couple of times at points that I don't think James Cameron wanted me to chuckle at. There was definitely a section with the whales. There's like a whale conversation that happens that I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah. Oh, brother. So
is this a good movie? Did you like this?
I don't think I did, unfortunately. Yeah. Here's the thing. Like, I went back and revisited Avatar this year, and I still have a lot of problems with that movie, with the way that it's written. But the spectacle of it all, you know, the 3D IMAX of it all was still breathtaking for me, you know, to see that again. This time around, and again, this could just be my old man eyes, but often I found it, like, whenever it's sort of multiplanar, where there's like something's here and something's here and something's here, it all kind of blurred together for me, and I kept trying to adjust my glasses and make it work, but like that was distracting. The high frame rate, which comes in and out, was
Let's talk about that. Yeah.
So terrible. And so I say this as somebody who hates high frame rate. If you love high frame rate, then, you know, go see it that way. But for me, it always looks like, I've heard people refer to it as motion smoothing. To me, it always looks like, remember on, like, when you would watch Entertainment Tonight and they would cut from, like, oh, we visited the set of blah, blah 9 months ago. And then they would cut from their set visit to what the movie actually looks like. Motion, the high frame rate looks like the ET set visit. Like, suddenly everything is so crisp and flat and really well lit, and it's jarringly, it takes you out of the world of the movie, or does me anyway. So
no, for me, for sure. It looks like when you walk into Costco and they have all those monitors on display of like beautiful underwater scenes, and it's just mesmerizing before you get to like the wine and the pastries. Like, it's like that. I mean, and Nick was sitting with me. He's like, it looks like a video game. It looks like Jedi Fallen Order, because it's like sharper and crisper than the human eye actually even sees.
Right.
In a way that it's not as bad as like Billy Lynn's long halftime walk.
No,
it was entirely in a way higher frame rate.
That and Gemini Man.
Yeah, it's so, and the fact that he goes back and forth between it, and I have read how he does it. Like, he shot it all on the higher frame rate and then like dialed it back to 24 for other times.
Gotcha.
Like, there's like a jerkiness to the leaping, and there's a lot of leaping and swimming and flying and running, and I'm with you on that. Go ahead.
So yeah, anyway, I found myself really bored during a lot of it because so much of it is so familiar in terms of sort of rehashing moments from the first movie. It's like, oh, here's where we force the flying creature to like obey our commands. And here's where we find the super, rare resource, which is why we're all here to make money. And, but then also stuff that just felt reminiscent of other movies and
other James Cameron movies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The big finale, as exciting as much of it is, ultimately feels like a mashup of Aliens and Titanic.
It's so much Titanic.
Yeah. But also Aliens. Like there's literally there's a part where I was like, oh yeah, that's where Newt goes down the hole, stuff like that. James Cameron is still a not very good writer, and he's not credited with the screenplay, but nonetheless. And I want to be fair, there are moments that are gorgeous. There are moments that really pop and do the thing that he wants them to do, and that are effectively exciting or suspenseful or whatever. But for the most part, I feel like there's the visuals don't pop, the story doesn't pop, and it's 3 hours long.
Your number does not reflect the fact that you didn't like this that much, but we'll get to that eventually. I was frequently dazzled by it, just like the colors and the vibrancy of it and the care that has gone into like with the first Avatar, like every new plant and creature and flower. And there's a whole sequence where they go underwater and there's like a big purple neon tree that looks like the tree in the forest.
Exactly.
In the first film. There's a lot of stuff. It's really, really cool. There is some stuff we talk about how, unintentionally hilarious some of the whale stuff is, but some of the whale stuff is also quite touching.
Yes.
And a lot of that is because people like Kate Winslet bring depth to it that I don't think was on the page. People like Zoe Saldana and Kate Winslet, who can really, really act, are bringing depth and emotion and taking this very seriously. Sam
Worthington, however, still does not have an accent for this character.
He's either from Brooklyn or Australia.
Yes, pick one.
Like from sentence to sentence.
He's from the little Australia neighborhood of Brooklyn.
Could we not have gotten him a dialect coach in between the first and
right?
second Avatars?
13 years, man.
It's still hard to hide that. Yeah. And then also part of it too is that like it is so transporting and so its own world that when the teenage kids are like, dude, bro, dude. And there's this, this little human kid who goes by the name of Spider, who runs around in a loincloth, is essentially Shaka from Land of the Lost, as far as like his function here.
Right.
And everything's like, dude, bro, stop. Like they almost drowned, dude. Like it's so like jarringly contemporary and relatable. It's like how my son and his friends talk to each other in the car on the way to water polo practice. Like to have that within what is meant to be such a unique and special place just felt weird to me.
Well, and also like I think they kind of lose sight at one point of like who speaks what language. Like the first Avatar is pretty strict about like the Na'vi speak Na'vi and the English people speak English, and in this movie like they just at one point sort of fall back into that, well, everybody here speaks the same language, so we'll make it English, but then other people show up who don't, and then I don't know. That to me felt like not quite as well thought out. Maybe they just didn't want to do more papyrus subtitles than they had to. But
there is a thing that Jake says that kind of helps explain it away early on. Like the first hour or so takes a long time to get going as they explain who all is in what body now. We also have like the Immaculate Conception spawn of Sigourney Weaver.
Right.
The teenage girl, Kitty, also played by Sigourney Weaver, who I totally didn't realize that while I was watching it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's Sigourney
I could hear it in the voice every so often.
Yeah.
It was very manipulated, but the Sigourney comes out.
Yeah, but like one of the things that Jake says is like, my Na'vi isn't very good, but it's gotten better. And then the subtitles drop away and they start talking to one another as kids again. I mean, there's
I guess
it
maybe.
away. There's one tossed offline that like explains that, but still, I see your point. Yeah, I mean, it's all of 3 hours long and then some. It's so long. I know there was a thing where somebody asked James Cameron like, when's a good time to go to the bathroom? Like whenever, because you're gonna see it all over again. It's very repetitive. Like I missed the first really cool underwater scene, and Nick's like, "Oh my god, it's beautiful." I'm like, they're going to show more cool underwater stuff, I'm guessing.
I considered going to the bathroom, which is how unengaged I was with this movie for so much of it, because I don't think I've been to the bathroom during a movie since like Sucker Punch. But I didn't. I stuck it out because of, I'm a professional.
I drank a lot of soda. But again, all the creatures are cool. Like the underwater things that are like the flying things,
yes.
like the way they mount them and go, zoom. There's a lot of care, obviously, in creating this totally original and immersive world. I say original, even though it was, a lot like the first one.
Sure.
I admire these movies more than I love them. I am never emotionally engaged by them. And I read a lot of reactions early on from people who were like, I'm sobbing. I'm like, why? When?
It beats me. I mean, and I think if my number is higher than it sounds from what I'm saying is, again, I do admire the craft. I admire that Cameron is always trying to sort of move the technology forward,
for sure.
But that doesn't make him the best storyteller all the time. Sometimes it works anyway, but this is not one of those cases.
And people like Edie Falco and Stephen Lang, can only do so much with like paper thin characters.
I hope Edie Falco has like got the nicest beach house with this movie, because she is called upon to do almost nothing but drink coffee.
In like a robot suit like Ripley uses in Aliens, right? It's like the same kind of thing. She pours her own coffee with her little suit. I like the little crabs though. The people crab movers.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like every so often he'll unload some bit of technology like that. I'm like, oh, why doesn't that exist? Like what? That should be a thing. It's like how, the Star Trek communicators inspired the invention of the flip phone. I look at this and think, okay, in 50 years, we're going to have the crab thing. And because it's because of James Cameron. But yeah, I just, I'm like, all right, if this is like not just a sequel, but the launch pad to what is going to be this multi-film saga, I'm thinking, surely this is going to be about like things, and we're going to get a really complex narrative and new characters, and it's like not that much, really.
It's kind of about environmentalism.
Oh, it's very much about environmentalism, but I bet you the people who sobbed were upset about the whale hunting.
Oh.
Because that is, I mean, they do a good job of sort of showing how sort of barbaric it is.
Yeah.
And how they're these super intelligent creatures who are actually have more neural pathways than we do. Like
they feel emotionally.
Exactly. Like we get Jermaine Clement as a marine biologist who's basically there to tell us how shitty it is that they're doing this. So yeah, that I could see that being more emotionally moving, but that's not any of the actual speaking characters, I don't think would inspire that level of emotion.
I kind of want to go stay at the Reef People's area though, because it looks like one of those like all-inclusive resorts at the mall, like the Maldives, like they're all like floating huts on the ocean. Anyway, I'm saying 5.
I said 6 because, again, just the craft. And, like if this movie winds up winning a lot of the sort of tech Oscars this year, I'm not going to be mad at that. But as a film and not a show reel of, advancements in CG animation, it didn't leave me with much.